Before the video starts, I just wanted to give my condolences and thoughts and prayers to the people who were affected by the shooting that took place in Uvalde, Texas, and to the people who were also affected by the shooting that took place in Buffalo. Also give my thoughts and prayers and condolences to anybody that has been affected by any sort of shooting, any sort of crime. Please, people, be safe out there and try not to take life for granted and the people that's in your life for granted as well. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So I woke up yesterday morning and saw this article from Falcoholic about Deion Jones, and it was titled, "As June 1st nears, Deion Jones seems likely to be on the move." And there has been talk about Deion Jones possibly leaving Atlanta, getting traded to another team. And I know that the fan base is kind of getting tired of him as well. So I figured, why not talk about this and give my little 2 cents about Deion Jones. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to read what Falcoholic had to say, and then I'll give my little 2 cents about Deion Jones. As part of finally turning the page on the Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff era, the new duo of Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot have made a number of tough choices. Franchise players like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones were traded, while Calvin Ridley almost was. Russell Gage, Keanu Neal, Devontae Casey, and Foye Oluokun were more homegrown players who are now on different teams. Those losses hurt whether they were expected or not. Yeah, they do. Another player is expected to soon exit the team, but it is expected to be less painful. Per Jeff Schultz of The Athletic, Deion Jones leaving Atlanta is likely imminent. After an offseason of additions at inside linebacker and following a couple of rocky seasons, this move has begun to feel more and more likely. If true, this is quite the fall for Jones. The second-round linebacker out of LSU looked an odd fit as a middle linebacker with elite athleticism, countered with serious size concern. At mere 222 pounds, he put those doubts to rest faster than anyone expected as he quickly made PFWA's All-Rookie team, the Pro Bowl the following year, and before long was becoming the new prototype for linebackers. We can never forget the game-sealing pick against Drew Brees. That almost feels ages ago. Jones signed a 4-year, $57 million deal before the 2019 season. It almost looked like a sneaky bargain for an impact player, with only his best years ahead of him. Then, not. The big hits almost entirely disappeared. That sideline-to-sideline speed was no longer putting Jones in position to make big plays. His performances were overlooked for a while thanks to a defense falling to the bottom of the league, but he was under heavy scrutiny a year ago. Whether Dan Quinn, Raheem Morris, or Dean Pease have been at the helm of the defense recently, Jones has been more liability than strength for Atlanta. The Falcons are rebuilding, and Jones doesn't seem to fit in their plans. As Schultz has alluded to, and in the most recent article, specifically called out Jones was expected to become a leader for the Falcons. However, per Schultz, if Jones had a leadership presence for younger players, the team could justify him in 2022. But he has been anything but that. Falcons can get some solid cap savings if they can trade Jones, which shouldn't feel impossible. He's only 27 after all. He has had a few notable games, such as notching Defensive Player of the Week, indicating a reclamation project could net serious benefits. A post-June 1st trade gives the Falcons $14.7 million in cap space, while a post-June 1st cut nets the Falcons over $1 million in cap. Perhaps Fontenot can bridge the gap and pay part of Jones' guaranteed cash to facilitate a trade. Pay part of the salary, and the receiving team gets a young Pro Bowl linebacker for cheap in 2022. There have to be plenty of teams able to look at Jones given his age and talent and think a change of scenery will have him playing at a high level again for them. That's especially true when Dan Quinn, Raheem Morris, and Jeff Ulbrich all are running defenses and all coach Jones in the not too distant past, even if it might feel like it was a long time ago. It's not a lock, but if the team can find a partner, Jones looks to be gone. He's not the future for the Falcons, as a flurry of draft picks and signings at inside linebacker this offseason suggests, but hopefully he can get back to form. It just likely won't be in Atlanta. So yeah, that's what Falcoholic had to say. When Deion Jones first got here, it looked like he was going to be a future superstar, one of the faces for this franchise. Especially his second season in the league, you really felt confident that he would be like a top 10 linebacker or a top 5 linebacker in the league. But then as time went on, his play started to decrease. And I'm not going to try to reiterate what Falcoholic said too much, but you notice that those athletic plays weren't really happening a whole lot anymore. His sideline to sideline speed, his tackling in the open field wasn't really consistent. He would get beat in coverage quite a bit, and if he would make a tackle, it would be like when the ball carrier was already maybe 15 or 10 yards down the field. And if he did have an impactful play, it would seem like the game would be out of reach, or the Falcons would already be out of playoff contention. Now, in fairness to him, he didn't really have a whole lot of playmakers around him to work with, okay? I'm not trying to put all the blame on him. This defense over the past few years hasn't really been that great, but specifically when I look at Deion, my biggest issue is at times it feels as if he's nowhere to be found, and you kind of forget that he's on the field. And if you're supposed to be a superstar for a team, you have to try and make plays when they're there. Like when Foye Oluokun was playing alongside him, you noticed Foye a lot more than Deion. Foye was the one making tackles in the open field, getting into the backfield, knocking the ball loose from the ball carriers, trying to force turnovers. And with Deion, you wouldn't really seeing a whole lot of that from him. Like, what's the last impactful, memorable Deion Jones play that you remember? It's probably the game-sealing interception that he had against the New Orleans Saints, that acrobatic almost backflip interception. So do I want him to leave? Not really, because I'm still a fan of the guy. I still like the guy. I still think that he can give you something. I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I don't look at Deion Jones and say that, he's totally lost it and he can't play anymore. No. I still think that he can bring some value to the team or to any other team that he goes to. Do I think that his time in Atlanta will come to an end before June 1st? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. If not, I definitely don't see him being around next season, because the Falcons have signed Lorenzo Carter, also signed Rashaan Evans from Tennessee. Then they drafted Troy Anderson. So when you look at the linebackers that they acquired this offseason, you can feel that the writing is on the wall for Deion, and he may not be here this upcoming season. So what do you guys think? Do you think Deion Jones will stay? Do you want him to stay? Do you think he can still bring some value to the team? I think he could still bring some value to the team because of all this talk about he won't fit in Dean Pease's scheme. I think he can still be more effective when it comes to blitzing, but that's just my opinion. So tell me what you guys think. Please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell when I drop a video, and that is it. I am out.